Hello folks, this is Sula speaking, and you're watching a commentary video on League of Legends. We're doing something a little bit different today. This is a 4 versus 4 pre-made game with all people that I tend to play with online. You can see that I'm playing Twisted Fate, and this is actually the first time I've ever played Twisted Fate, period. I tried him out in a very brief practice game against the AI, but that's it. I'm also paired up with Mookie playing Pantheon, Roland playing Taric, and Varus Nox playing as Vladimir. And then on the other team is Atlas, who is using the username Bertrand de Horn, who's playing Galio. And now we've cut away from that screen, so I can't see off the top of my head. But as soon as I pull up the tab screen, I'll be able to we'll be able to see the other players. And you can always go back to that and check it again. Anyway, as far as the start of this game goes, we had an interesting idea at the start. Each team has a jungler. Mookie is going to jungle on our team, playing Pantheon, and Earthstrike, who's playing as Amumu, is going to be jungling as Amumu on their team. So Mookie had the idea of sending everyone on our team to go and try to kill their jungler, try and kill Earthstrike right at the start of the game. The rationale being that between our three champions, we had three different stuns. We have Taric stun, Twisted Fate's gold card stun, and Pantheon's ability to stun when he jumps on people. So if we could all go in there at the same time and get all three stuns, we could almost certainly get a kill and draw first blood. So that's the rationale here. And then afterwards, we'll be able to go out over to the lanes. Now notice one other thing here. You'll notice when we pull up the item screen is that Varus Nox, in his haste to get over here, apparently forgot to buy anything. You can see up in the top corner that he doesn't have any items. And in fact, I would highlight this again. You can see I've pulled up the item screen and I'm pointing out, look, see, there's nothing here. He doesn't have any items. So a little bit of a mistake, but in any case, hopefully it won't come down to the last couple of hit points from Varus Nox not having an item at the start. Anyway, that's a mistake. So we are going to wait here until about 150, 155 on the clock, which is right when Earthstrike will start going for the Golem. So our hope is that if we all go into the brush together then, we'll be able to start hitting on our stuns, and then we'll be able to get first blood, and that would put us way far ahead in the game. It would set back their jungler and give us the first blood bonus. So we're about ready to head out here, and let's see what happens. So here we go. Let's find out if this plan actually ends up working or not. This means that I have to pull a gold card in order for this to work. And let's see, here we come. Is he going to be here? And we see the Golem half done, but we don't see Earthstrike, and there he is. He's trying to get away. Mookie's going to jump in there and try to stun him, but the rest of us are coming in too late. So for whatever reason, I guess Earthstrike sensed that. Somehow he knew we were coming, and so now we're going to have to... Now at least we're going to take the Golem buff so that he can't use that. So the Golem was focusing me for some reason. I guess just randomly chose to target me. So I took a lot of damage there. And then we were able to finish it off with Mookie's Smite and get him the Golem buff. However, in the meantime that we've been doing this, we've all not been getting experience and not been getting gold because we haven't been in our lanes. We also divided the experience from that Golem kill up 4 ways. So Mookie is actually going to be behind in his jungling. And furthermore, Mookie had to take a different skill than he would have taken normally because he needed to take his stunning skill first in order to try to get that kill. In other words, it's not at all clear whether we've actually gained anything. If anything, we're probably further behind than before due to the fact that we did that. We really needed to get an actual kill, not just steal the Golem, in order for that particular play to be effective, and since we weren't able to do that, looks like we're going to end up being a little bit subpar here at the start. Furthermore, I was actually taking some of the experience from the Wraiths just by standing here. I wasn't intending to do that, but it also delayed a little bit more of Mookie's experience just by me standing here as part of the tower. So that was a little bit problematic, and overall you could say that this whole thing that we tried to do probably didn't really work out. The rationale for that being is that Earthstrike actually bought a ward, as he told us after the game. He actually had a ward up there, right next to the Golem, so he was able to see us coming and get out of there. Otherwise, I expect that we would have managed to get our first blood there. So well done, Earthstrike. That certainly worked out really well, getting that particular ward. Anyway, between the aggression from the Golem and taking some hits from the minions, I'm extremely low in terms of health right here, so I'm trying to play very carefully. I also don't really know all that much about what I'm doing with Twisted Fate, since this is the first time I've ever really played him. Just one game against AI bots previously. And so I decide that I'm just going to do the safe thing here and go back to base. Even though it's not really the optimal play by any means, I'm just going to do it because I don't want to get killed here. If I were to get killed by Atlas's Galio, then that would put me way behind. And I did notice that I had just about enough gold to buy boots the entry-level boots, so I'll do that, and then I'll come back to the lane. And there we go. You can see we also have Nup playing Ashe and Cull playing Xin Zhao. And Nup's up in the top lane playing against Varus Nox. So we've got Vlad against Ashe up there. Down in the bottom lane, we've got Taric being played by Roland against Cull playing Xin Zhao. And so then here in the middle lane, it's going to be me against Atlas, who's playing Galio, which is kind of an interesting matchup. But Galio certainly can solo a lane. And in fact, I've seen him do that in a number of games. Okay, so since this is the first time I've played Twisted Fate and the first time I tried to cast him in one of these videos, let me talk a little bit about Twisted Fate's abilities and spend a few minutes going through what exactly he can do. Twisted Fate is one of the most versatile champions in this game. He can be extremely powerful if played correctly, but he's one of the more difficult champions to play, and he has a rather high skill level in terms of using him effectively. His Q skill, we'll start with that, is called, I think it's called Wildcard. I'm not looking at it right now. Anyway, that's where yes, it's called Wildcard. You can see it there. That's where I throw the 3 cards. It does magic damage, and it tosses 3 cards in a little, I guess, sort of a diamond-shaped pattern. It flies out. There's 1 that goes straight ahead, and then 2 that go out to the sides. Does pretty good damage. It's a very effective harassment tool. Its best feature is the fact that it has extremely long range. You can hit people a long, long way away using Wildcard. And so combined with some, like right there, you can see how far those cards go. It can be a little bit difficult to hit people. It is a skill shot. It's actually a targeted skill shot. You can't just cast it into midair. You have to click on a target, but has really long range. You can toss it at the minions and quite often hit champions that are hiding behind them. So a useful skill, but it does take a lot of practice to use effectively. And I don't quite have it. You can see I did some pretty good damage to Atlas's Galio right there. All right, his second skill, his W skill, and probably the one that Twisted Fate is most known for, is called Pick a Card. You see me using it right here, and as you can see, you have 3 different cards that you can pick, red, blue, or gold, and each of them does different things. So in a way, it's almost like having 3 skills. It's almost like Twisted Fate actually has 6 different skills instead of just 4. The red card does the most damage. It will apply area of effect damage around the target. It doesn't have a lot of area of effect, but it does damage a little bit around the target. And it also will slow slightly. So if you're just trying to do the most damage possible with 1 card, then that's the one to pick. The blue card does a lot less damage, but what it does do is it refunds some of the mana cost from using it. In fact, you can actually increase your mana when you use it once you get enough ability points, because how much mana you get back scales with ability power ratios. So it's very useful early on in the laning phase. You can effectively just toss blue cards endlessly, and it won't really cost you anything. I think it costs you like 10 mana or something like that when you start out. So as long as you just spam blue cards, you can technically be throwing a blue card about every 3 seconds or so as soon as the skill comes off cooldown, thus making it a very useful skill. Has a lot of uses. Not so much in a team fight, you're not going to use it, but you can use it against towers. Because you'll do the damage and get some mana back, and especially early in the game, it's quite useful. All right, most famously is Twisted Fate's gold card. That's the one that you will be using against enemy champions, because when you toss it, it applies a stun that lasts, I think it lasts for 1 second at the first level, and increases up to 2 seconds when you get it up to the 5th level. So against enemy champions, locking in gold cards and stunning is great. You can effectively be stunning someone about every 3 seconds during a team fight, and that's very powerful to just continuously stun the other team. It also makes it can prevent people from running away, and do all the other great stuff that stuns can do. Earlier on, when this champion was first created, his stun actually had an area of effect on the stun, which is just nuts. They've taken that away. It only stuns 1 target, but still very useful. Not great against minions, not good for farming, but very good in terms of dealing with enemy champs. So the gold cards are the ones you want to pick. And in fact, I think it was Pharaoh famously said something like, your value to your team can be determined entirely by how many gold cards you can pick during a team fight, which I think is very true. Now his third skill, his E skill, is called Stack Deck. And what it does is every 4th attack that Twisted Fate does, you can see I have a counter down there. Every 4th attack will deal a little bit extra damage. So doesn't do that much more, but it is noticeable when it's used. And also more points in it will, it also lowers Twisted Fate's cooldowns. And I think and what else does it do? It does something else too. It has some other minor benefit. But the real thing is that increases... Oh, it increases his attack speed too. That's the other thing. More points will also slightly increase his attack speed and slightly decrease his cooldowns. So useful skill, but it's probably best to put 1 point in it early on and then max it out last. Finally, Twisted Fate's last skill, and one that you're about to see me use right here, is called Destiny. When he uses his ultimate, it reveals all enemy champions anywhere on the map, wherever they are, including if they're stealth. So I'm about to use it right now, and you'll see that it will reveal all the enemy champs so we can see where they are. It's useful right here because we can see that there's no one who can go out and challenge that dragon that our team's trying to take. Finally, right after he pops Destiny, Twisted Fate can also teleport anywhere on the map in the next 6 seconds. I mean, it can be anywhere on the map. You don't need to have minions next to you or anything. So it functions as a teleport that can go anywhere. So ideally for Destiny, what you'll do is you'll lock a gold card ahead of time in the fountain or wherever you happen to be, and then you will teleport somewhere on the map, usually coming in behind someone, then stun them with the gold card, and then try to get a kill. In other words, Twisted Fate played well. The other team should never be able to escape. Like, let's say you win a team fight and you kill 2 or 3 people on your team, and then the rest of the team is like trying to run away. They should never be able to get away from Twisted Fate if you have Destiny up, because you should be able to reveal where they are, teleport in, stun them with a gold card, and then get the kill. So very useful for that. It's also very useful in terms of late game backdoor pushing. Twisted Fate is better at backdooring than anyone in the entire game. If you have a team fight somewhere, like let's say there's a team fight on the top portion of the map, and meanwhile, right after that goes on, there's minions pushing into the base on the bottom side. Twisted Fate can use Destiny, and then he can just appear down at the bottom of the map, and all of a sudden he's in the enemy team's base, and he can push down and destroy an inhibitor before the other team even really realizes what he's doing. In fact, the European team at the WGC, World Gaming Championships, or whatever it's called, basically the international championships for League of Legends, the European team featured a Twisted Fate player who was just sort of backdooring like crazy, and it was proved to be very effective. So to play Twisted Fate effectively, you not only have to be able to draw the right card on demand, but you also have to have extremely good map awareness, realizing not just where you are, but also where your teammates are on the map, and figuring out where you need to be, since you can appear just about anywhere at a moment's notice. And there we get a kill in the top lane, which is well done, guys. Like I said, and to make matters worse, Twisted Fate is one of the squishiest champions in the game. He has very, very low health, and he will die very quickly if he's focused by the enemy team. He also doesn't have much range aside from his wild card that you see me through there. So in order to get in and stun people, you have to get pretty close to them, which means that it's relatively easy to get killed. So your positioning in team fights is key. If you just run into the middle of a team fight, you will die almost instantly, and then you'll be useless to your team. So you have to be extremely careful in terms of selecting your positioning, and that's in addition to knowing where to be on the map and being able to pick wild cards and etc., etc. Like I said, he's not an easy champ to play, but his gameplay is completely different from that of any other champion, and he's a completely unique champ. So I really like this guy, and I would like to be able to be able to get good enough to play him. So this is sort of my experiment in that. I think he would be a really fun champ to have around on teams. So anyway, here I'm going to lock in a gold card, and then I'm going to use Destiny and appear back here as part of this fight. So I'm going to come into the fight, and I'm going to try to stun Earthstrike, but for some reason I hit Ashe instead, and meanwhile I'm going to pop off my wild card and deal damage, and now I'm going to try to stun Ashe with a gold card, which I'm going to be able to do, and then follow that up with wild card, and oh, we do manage to get Ashe, but unfortunately not playing Ashe was able to kill Varus Nox. And Varus actually told us that he had Summoner Heal as an ability, and he just, I think it was like 1 second away from coming off of cooldown and being able to save him. So that was a little unfortunate, but we did actually get 3 kills in that lane against one for us, and here I'll just harass Atlas a little bit with my gold card. And while I was off doing that, Atlas did push up against the tower middle lane and got some damage on it. So it wasn't completely without penalty, but I think overall it was definitely worth doing to go in there, help them get those kills, and my stuns were in fact pretty useful. Alright, anyway, now I'm just back to the lane, and I'm going to get a little bit more gold, a little bit more experience. My last hitting was pretty poor in this game, but that often happens when you first play a new champion. You need to get a feel for their damage. Anyway, we're getting to the end of this video, so thanks for watching, thanks for listening. We'll continue this next time in part 2.